So today I'm going to show you the 4th LEGO Harry Potter diorama mock I have made in my 8-part mini-series where I create a LEGO movie scene diorama based on each of the 8 Harry Potter movies. So if you want to keep up with that, then make sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss an upload. So as you know by now, I began this mock series after I took inspiration from LEGO's recent 18+ diorama sets for both the Jurassic Park and Star Wars franchises. Now Harry Potter is one of the biggest movie franchises of all time, and the LEGO Harry Potter theme is actually one of the best selling themes for LEGO. So as a LEGO Harry Potter YouTuber, I thought it made sense for me to create some potential 18+ diorama sets for the Harry Potter theme, to show what LEGO could do if they decided to branch these diorama sets to Harry Potter. So far we've had Devil's Snare, the Slytherin Common Room, Dementors at the Quidditch match, and now we have one from the Goblet of Fire. So without further ado, let's get into it. So for the Goblet of Fire, I really wanted to continue making a case for these Harry Potter diorama sets being a thing that LEGO could do, by coming up with something imaginative and unique. I had all the usual ideas you'd expect me to have for this film, such as the Graveyard Duel, a section of the maze, the second task at the Great Lake, and even Mad-Eye Moody's office, but none of these ideas really excited me and I wanted to try something challenging, so I ended up settling on trying to recreate this scene.
More murder!
Now the challenges of making this scene were of course immense, as I essentially had to figure out how to make a LEGO human skull with a snake being depicted protruding out of its mouth. Not only that, but I had to find a way to make it stay in mid-air. For the skull itself there was a plethora of tried and failed attempts, but I eventually came up with this design. I took inspiration from designs I found on Google and ended up with a skull which was the perfect size for this model. As you can see, the colour is what LEGO would call medium green. It essentially has the glow-in-the-dark vibe and look without actually being glow-in-the-dark, as I thought making all of this glow-in-the-dark was a bit unrealistic for LEGO. Now obviously I needed to add a snake coming out of the skull's mouth as seen in the Harry Potter movies, and this task was a lot simpler. I went to my storage box and pulled out the instructions for the 2018 LEGO Harry Potter Great Hall set, and essentially went ahead and rebuilt the basilisk snake from that set, but in this medium and sand green colour. So I was happy with how the skull and the snake looked, so I had to then figure out how to support these mini builds in mid-air. I started with the snake, in which I used a clear and transparent support structure to connect it to the 14x14 base which I'm using for all of these diorama mocks. The supporting pillar I made was essentially a pole with transclear L4 bar pieces in the centre to give this pole easily enough strength to support the snake build in the air. I then went ahead and used the same technique in regards to holding up the skull, but instead of it being connected to the 14x14 base, it's got its own side stand as the skull is on a forward angle. Speaking of the 14x14 base, let's take a look at that now as well as the minifigure perched on it. The ground effect is very plain as it is in the movies. It's simply just dead grass, but to add some contrast in colour and to make the model more appealing as a whole, I dotted some colourful flowers here and there with hints of a stony path, as I think just having a patch of dead grass would have been pretty dull. I did consider making some destroyed and burnt out tent structures on this base, but honestly, it just didn't look good at all, so I left those out. For the Barty Crouch Jr. minifigure, I went ahead and fitted him in black suit attire. I couldn't get an exact torso print which represented exactly what he wore in the film in the LEGO Studio Design software, and this was the best match I could find. However, I believe the face print is just absolutely perfect for David Tennant as Barty Crouch Jr. It gives off that grubby sort of look which he had, and I don't think I would even swap this out for the official Barty Crouch Jr. face prints that we see on the back of the Mad-Eye Moody minifigures. The hairpiece I chose is long, messy and dark brown, which is exactly the look he had during this scene in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. So let's take a look at the box art for this set. It looks good, doesn't it? I'm absolutely thrilled how this mock has turned out and would love LEGO to release something like this to the public, as I believe it would be a real hit. For the box art design, I have changed it again for this movie. The previous box art design was in the more traditional 18+ black box art, but I think what I've done here looks even better. I have added the greeny blue glow of the Dark Mark and also added a layer of burnt down dark grounds and forestry. On top of that, I added a few Death Eaters who were present at the Quidditch World Cup in their notorious black pointed hoods, and I think all in all this has turned out to be a pretty epic little diorama set concept. If you want to see my last Prisoner of Azkaban diorama set, then click the video on screen now. A big thank you to Sue Penn, Lucas Hatch, MLD-Bricks, Kay Crossley and Brightest Witch Bricks, who are all tier 3 members of the channel. I'll catch you soon for another LEGO Harry Potter video. Bye for now everyone.